Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
How is everybody? How are you ladies doing today?
We're doing
It's a
well.
beautiful day.
Yeah? Yeah, how is it in Kansas City today?
It's about 35 degrees.
Mhm.
I've been outside.
Yeah, it's going to get a little warmer, and then we have another snowstorm potentially moving in Wednesday night. So,
Oh, I see. Well, the saying I remember about Kansas City is if you don't like it, wait an hour and it'll change. Because y'all do go in and out of different weather so fast. So Laura and Jennifer are from the Kansas City area, and Lisa and I are here in Las Vegas. So it's early 7:30 in the morning here in Vegas. And you guys, at least you've had your breakfast already, right? 9:30, probably.
Yep.
Oh gosh. Well, we always like to give a little bit of time for people to get on when they've gotten the message that we've started. So Jennifer, we haven't seen you in a little. What did you do? What did you do for Valentine's Day yesterday?
Yesterday was actually just at home. We ordered a pizza, but on Saturday we did our Valentine's date, and we went to the Kansas City Symphony, watched one of the Star Wars movie, and it's a cut where they take out all the music in the movie and the symphony plays that live. So you watch this 2.5-hour movie, but you have live music. And
wow.
I encourage anyone, if there's ever an opportunity to do it, spend the money and do it. It was the most amazing, beautiful, moving thing we could ever do. And they do it for a lot of different genres of movies. They're starting to come up with doing this around the country. So definitely something I highly recommend. We had a blast.
Wow. How cool is that?
Yeah.
Like,
Very cool.
Yeah. What about you, Laura? Did y'all do anything weekend or yesterday?
Well, I helped my friend at a flower shop, so I'm up to here with Valentine's flowers, to be honest. When I left, we had over 100 deliveries for Valentine's Day, and the phone just rings and rings. Yeah, they have a pretty big operation, so. So I actually tell my husband not to give me flowers because I know too much. But no, we're actually going out for dinner this evening. So we try to go, like Jennifer did. You try not to go at the same time as everybody and their brother. So
yeah, exactly. What about you, Lisa? Oh, I can't hear you. Hello. We heard you a few minutes ago. Are you back?
Oh no.
Okay. Well, we'll move on for the moment. So Bill and I, we I don't know. I don't know if y'all find this, but working from home, every day kind of feels like the same day. And so he said, about 2 weeks ago, he said, that was on a Saturday, and he says, we need to do something different. He says, I want to feel like Saturday is actually a Saturday. And I said, yeah, okay. And so we've been trying the last couple of weeks to do that so that we're not just every day. So yesterday, I kind of surprised myself. Well, I don't have any appointments until 2 this afternoon. Let's just take a drive someplace. And it's called the Valley. No, is that right? Valley of Fire? Does that sound right, Lisa? We went somewhere yesterday. Anyway, we went out. It's a Nevada State Park, and we left the house at 8:30, and we went and drove through this park. And we took the dog with us. There was really a fun thing to do. We made it back from my appointment, and then we went out later just to do something. So it was kind of different. It's one we'll remember because it was so odd for us to get up and just take a 4-hour drive in the morning to do something different. That was nice.
I like that.
Yeah. So Lisa, are you back?
Not yet. Oh, there.
Oh, there you are.
Okay.
There. A minute ago, I thought I heard some echoing, but it sounds like you're
Well,
okay.
yeah, that's because I unplugged my mic and plugged it back in because I thought, well, Alt Control Delete.
Exactly. What about you? Anything that you and Paul did?
We just went on a movie and a dinner, but we haven't done that in forever. So we were like, hey, let's do something different and go out to a movie and dinner.
I know. We only go to, because Bill, as I've told y'all before, does really not like movies. So we don't do it very often, but 2 or 3 times a year, that's a big deal for us to go. Jennifer, I know y'all go all the time. I love that. So anyway, good morning, everybody. Michelle Cruz is in the house, and Karen and Grace and Debbie. Yay. And everybody,
everybody from Kansas City.
Say that again.
Everybody from Kansas City.
Yeah, could be because it's like 2 hours later there at 9:30.
Yeah,
I think we get some of our Vegas gals, but they join in later in the day when they watch the replay. But welcome everybody, to no matter where you are. And I've been inviting people from the new networking thing that I'm doing. It's not new, but it's fairly new. Just like a little less than 2 years old, right, Laura? HNP.
I do believe so.
Something like that. So that stands for Happy Neighborhood Project, and it's the coolest thing. So I'm going to give it a plug here. I'm going to actually be a co-host. I'm starting as a co-host, Laura, on the West Coast Women, and it's a fun thing, and it's so organized that I really like it. That's my biggest plug. First of all, it's happy people. The whole thing is about let's be happy, and who doesn't like to be happy, right? So I'll be putting links around if anybody's interested, but our topic is networking, and that's my new one for this year. And I think I've got 10 one-on-ones already scheduled this week. It's like unbelievable to me, the contacts that I'm making through this Happy Network. That's my short version of it, Happy Network. Happy Neighborhood Project, just a little too long for me to say all at once. So the whole point is meeting new people. And I did not know any of you guys, any of the 3 of you, or any of the ladies that their names are showing in the chat. I didn't know any of you before networking. And every one of you I met through Fun Fearless Female Networking. So it's like, yay! Isn't that cool? So let's just talk a bit about, and Jennifer, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts? Just give us a few little thoughts on networking and some of the things that you have found.
Well, it's an interesting thing because I think we're social by nature. We want to meet people, but sometimes we don't know how. And so having an organization, whether it's HNP, Fun Fearless, your church, whatever, a coffee group that meets up, all of that is networking in some form or fashion. Like, obviously, we don't go to church with our business cards or things like that, but that's still a form of networking. But it's also nice when there's an organized cause behind it, a structure to it that brings people in, where they know the time, they know the place, they kind of have a way of doing it. And I think that's one of the neat things about networking, because then you do cross paths. Somebody invites somebody else to come, and you have an opportunity to meet people that you just never would have met.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. What about you, Laura?
I agree with what Jennifer said. I've been networking in one way or another, business-wise, for years. Before I started my own business, I was in the medical community, so I networked that way, and it just looks a little different. But what I love about networking is the relationships and getting to know people. And then, when you get to know people, if you need a resource. For example, the other day, we need our washing machine broke. And so I called up a friend that I've networked with, and she gave me the name of somebody that's going to help us out. So, it's that kind of thing. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Lisa?
What do I love about networking?
Just any comments you want to say about networking?
This coming from somebody who wasn't it was a hard thing for me to get out and network at first. And everybody who knows me can't believe that. They're always saying, well, I don't believe that, but I put up a good show when I'm there. And the thing is that when you first start networking, the misconception that I came out with was, jamming the business card in everybody's face. And and I didn't like that. So when I finally got to that point where I learned that networking was a relationship and that it had nothing to do with the business, well, pretty much. And then it was really a lot of fun because I do like people. I just don't like the sales process, which is funny coming from a marketer, but I found out that marketing is a relationship as well. So
yeah, and I think that's the biggest misconception, is that you're going to go in and you're going to sell your product at that first meeting you go into, and the whole handout. And I have to admit, when I did one of the first couple of actual networking groups, I did kind of go around handing out my business card. I didn't know you were not supposed to do that. I mean, I'm about building relationships, but there's just, I guess nobody told me different at that point. So then I learned the hard way that was really rather rude to do that. So I think having our expectations, look at what do you really expect when you go into one. And so Jennifer, what would you say now that we all are so much more experienced in the whole networking thing, what would you say when you go in is your expectation, like to any networking meeting?
And I do this with any event, whether it's a networking or it's an actual functional event. I set a goal before I walk in of how many people I want to connect with. If it's a small group, I know there's going to be about 10 people there. I want to connect for sure. And true connection with one new person. If it's a bigger group, it's a 2 or 3, but I pick that number and then I go in with a deliberate goal. Because that's then my task. And I function very well that way. Okay, I've only talked to one person. I'm sitting here chit-chatting and we've connected. I now need to pull myself away, because in order to be successful for this event, it's not going to generate a sale necessarily in this moment of making money, but I need to connect with 2 more people. So I will actually force myself to step away then and connect with, oh, hey, before you leave, I want to visit with you about whatever. And that's how I function now.
That's awesome. How about you, Laura?
Actually, my only goal is just to meet people, and I don't really, in my mind, set a goal. I just, it's become so natural for me to network and to talk to people. I don't, I always just love to get to know the other person and what makes them tick and why they're doing what they're doing and those kinds of things. So I just show up.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. Lee, how do you do?
I used to come in, like she said, and I do think that's a great way to do it, is to come in with a goal to meet a person. At one point I came in with a goal. I was just going to have fun. That was kind of my first one. I was like, I'm going to have fun. And,
Good.
But now, and this is probably because of my bunny listening problem, is I come in and I tell myself that I'm going to listen. I'm not as focused on what I'm going to say as I am listening to what they're going to say. And that has really helped me in terms of picking up meaningful information and paying attention and being mindful while I'm there. And that's just one of my, like I said, bunnies, and squirrels and things like that makes me look elsewhere. And it's not because I'm being rude. It's just because that's the way my brain works. There's 4,000 neurons firing at the same time. So.
Yeah. I think too, it is, when I work with people and teaching them how to do their 1 minute. I think a lot of times that's one of the fears in going into official networking meetings, lunches, and even online, because in this happy network, we all do it, multiple times. And I can still tell the ones that just aren't real sure about what they want to say. And to make yourself more comfortable, being clear in what you want to say really helps. It helps takes the nerves away. I find that the walking in, no matter where there is, this all applies, whether it's live or virtual, is that if you smile, it makes you feel better and it makes everybody around you feel better. So it takes, again, if you're a little timid in that area, it just takes a little of that fear away. And there's always somebody that's going to smile back at you. So that's where I always head. So it's like, okay, I'm going to go over to this person who's smiling across the room. They look like a fun person. And, we gravitate that way. So if you want people to come towards you, when you have your smile on your face, then they're going to gravitate towards you, because, there's something about when you're smiling at people that makes you feel open and approachable. And I think that's what we all want. Over in our comments here, Terry Ann says, I'm blessed that networking has allowed me to meet each of you. And isn't that just so cool? And it really is. What other thoughts do you have that would help someone when they're going into an unfamiliar situation? Maybe you're going into that Chamber of Commerce, or a luncheon, or even on, jumping into the Happy Network, or even our fun fair. We're going to start. Okay, I'm going to put this out there. We're starting our own networking meeting thing, Fun Fearless Female, every Thursday now at 3:00.
Oh.
Vegas time. And I know Lisa has an ongoing Thursday, and I'm sorry, I had to go in and I only had 2 slots that I could commit to every week.
You can't get everybody together. It's not possible. So,
so it's like, but I'm excited to get it started and see. So let's have each of you give tips. If you're going into a networking meeting of any kind for the first time, what are some tips, or even not the first time? Maybe there's still some tips that after you've been in a while. You want to go, Jen, or Laura? Go ahead, Laura.
Oh, go ahead and go, Laura.
Breathe. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. That will calm your nervous system. And if you have to do it 5 times before you walk through the door, I'm a person that it's like no big deal. It doesn't bother me anymore. But we've all been there, and people generally are nice once you get to know them. I breathe. It's just that'll calm your nervous system.
And see, I can represent the group that's still not breathing when they go to networking groups. For me, Delinda helped me really good with visualization. So when I'm going to a networking group, and I do have a lot of anxiety about that, I just visualize now that I'm going to come away with fun. I'm going to meet one person in my head, and it's not like that's the have to. It's just, this is what I'm visualizing. I'm making up the party before I get there, and framing it up. So, and like 9.9 times out of 10, you come away with those great experiences when you frame it up ahead of time. So.
Yeah, that's a great one.
And it does take a little bit of the butterflies away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And my frame is, or my line when it comes to the butterflies, Lisa, is, and I'm someone who can walk into a room and I'll talk to anybody about anything. My family hates it. So for me, it's the opposite. I can't visualize what that feels like, but everyone has butterflies. It's learning to get them to fly in formation, that they don't bother you anymore. That's the trick. But for me, the one thing I would say is, if you're nervous and it's your first time going in or something, first of all, every single person in that room had their first time they walked into that room. So understand you're not unique in that. Everybody did at least have that at some point. But also, I would say with all the groups I've ever popped my head into from all the different industries and things I've done in the course of the last 30 years, I would say less than 0.5% had people in there that were hostile. 99.999% of the people in that room are going to be nice.
Well, and the thing is that my butterflies don't come from thinking people are hostile. I have a very good viewpoint of people. I love them. You have to offend me 10 times before I think you're a bad person. That type of thing. It actually comes from my internal motors. That, and basically having that hermit, I don't know, DNA, you might say. Yeah. And it's just not feeling totally confident about everything in myself. And that's, spearheads into some really deep stuff. But the thing is that you can overcome that. That's what I'm trying to say, because I do well at networking groups. Nobody would pretty much know that inside there's
nobody would know, Lisa. I didn't know when you told me that when we first had our one-on-one. It's like, what, really?
Yeah. I'm a good actress on the outside.
Fake it till you make it. If you do it enough times, it then becomes natural.
Well, and I'm not saying I walk into Fun Fearless Network luncheon where we know everybody and I'm still butterflying, although I am a little bit, and church and things like that. But the new circumstances where it's a brand new circumstance, definitely. And you can even hear it in the back of the jitter of my voice, So.
Well, and I think you represent, actually, Lisa, I think you represent a big part of the population. I mean, I think probably there's more ladies out, not the ones that we can see over here, because I know them and they're out doing it a lot. So they've gotten, if they used to be nervous, or they may have a little bit left, but they are all doing it enough that.
Well, and that's why I'm being honest, because I think a lot of people who newly start do feel that. And it's nice to know that you're not the only one,
Absolutely.
It's normal.
Yeah. And I would say, and maybe I'm wrong, Lisa, again, because I'm not that. I've just never been that. But search the room and find the Delindas, the Lauras, the Jennifers that are in that room, and you'll know who they are.
Yeah.
Same thing like Delinda said, you look for that happy face. You scan that room real quick when you walk in, you can see that person, and I guarantee you they're the ones who will be the one to really want to welcome you and attempt to make you feel as comfortable as possible. They'll be the one willing to sit next to you and make sure that, make sure you pass out your card, make sure you do. I mean, they'll be the ones because we want you to feel welcome. That is part of our DNA. It's like, oh my gosh. And hopefully not overpowering, but we want you to feel as comfortable. So maybe try to sit next to us, and because we're there.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Jennifer, because that is true. And I now, just because I've been doing it long enough or whatever, and I'm sure maybe you and Laura do the same thing. I actually seek out now the people that I can tell maybe are a little bit uncomfortable, or that I've never seen before, because I do. And y'all might find this right now. Official networking meetings, I know that is the point, to meet somebody. Okay. But when I go to things that are not like a networking event, like I don't know, I that's about all I go to anymore. But like if I go to I did just months ago. For instance, I was with Bill in Baton Rouge, and they had this Christmas party, and it was in pro golf. So it was a pretty laid back thing. Even so, I only knew the lady that works directly under him, the manager, and or with him there. And so I tend to pull back. I mean, y'all would be surprised that I didn't just jump in. Of course, I did wear my red cowboy boots with sequins, but I sort of hang back a little bit. I'm smiling, but I watch the group and I kind of get a feel for what's the group doing, what's there, because I've never been with this group before, and it was not a place to be networking. So it was just a place. I was there as Bill's wife, doing the business thing. So I think a lot of times it does even depend, because most people wouldn't think that I would hold back. But there's actually been a number of different kinds of events where I hold back to get the overview of the group.
Yeah. And by the way, thank you to the Facebook user who's giving me the ideas here. She says, at risk of being rude, visualize everyone in their undies and try not to snicker. Yeah, see, that's the problem. I'd probably be over there crying and laughing, and then they'd wonder why. But no, thank you for your empathies. And Kathy said she loves networking. And yes, I want to be Kathy when I grow up as a networker. So.
Yeah, don't we all? It's like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. Yeah, so Kathy, feel free to put any tip out there. Kathy's written 2 books on networking, and they're really
amazing.
Just from the very beginnings of things you can do to take the pressure off of yourself. And the biggest one really is attitude, going in. And I loved it, Lisa, when you said, you decide you're going to go in and have fun. And if you go in to have fun, you probably will have fun. Yeah, and that's a lot nicer place to go to.
if you go, you can usually tell the people that are going to try and sell to you also that that's their goal, and that they don't understand networking. So, I know Kathy and I talk about this a lot on Doc and Queenie we call them swoopers. And you can spot them a mile away. But it's just the goal of networking is relationship building. As difficult as it may be, but it's all about, it really comes down to, it's all about who you know.
One of the things that halts people from coming into networking correctly is understanding, I hear all the time, oh, that's an expensive investment, or, that takes a lot of time. And I kind of used to be there it myself, not understanding the form of what networking was, but I'll tell you, it has paid off 100 times in terms of, and none of it to do with business, in terms of friendships and just recommendations and relationships, and coming back to you in terms of things that you can trust, and feeling secure that you have this network of friends. It is well worth all of the investment and the training that you do. Also, it's personal growth.
And I just want to piggyback off what Lisa said, because for me, because there is an investment of time, if nothing else, an investment of time, even the Zoom calls. But if you're finding you're not developing those friendships and those connections of, like you said, oh my gosh, I need a plumber. Whatever those are for you, it doesn't always have to be a sales component. It's okay to leave a group. You're not you're not bound for the rest of your life. If it's not working for you and you just get that feeling of it is okay to bow out. And sometimes you need to bow out and allow the group to maybe evolve and do what it's going to do, and then pop back in. And anyways, that's one of the things I think I see a lot of too, is some groups are very stagnant. Yes. And there's just not a lot of new coming in. So
yeah, that's excellent. And I try to give a group a couple of times. I've been in a couple of times where I've gone in once and I didn't get the vibe or whatever that I feel. And I thought, well, it could be an off day, try to give the benefit of the doubt. But if I go a couple of times and I'm just not connecting, it just might not be the right group for you at that moment in time. And then, or if you're in and it gets stagnant and things aren't moving along. But I would always take a look at yourself, because look at what you're putting into it. Are you, going up to people? Are you trying to have when you're talking? Yeah, I would love to have coffee. Can we do 30-minute one-on-one and just get to know each other? No other, the truth is the one-on-ones are about building relationship, because as we've talked, each one of us, and I think everybody in the doors over there, the fact that, I'm only going to do business with people that I know, like, and trust. And you can't get to like and trust somebody in a 5-minute hi, how are you? So a 30-minute coffee, visual, or, online or whatever, helps you get through that initial thing. Find out, and it's the personal questions, like, well, so tell me about your family, or what things do you love doing? People get a little bit more vulnerable, and then it gives you a chance to relate better. And that's that whole building the relationships. You don't sit down and just say, blah, 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 blah. Here's what I do, and here's how much it costs. It just doesn't work that way. They're going to say you're a swooper.
Yep. And that's one of the things. And I would say for anyone nervous about the one-on-ones, that's why I do the Meet Me Monday. Come up with a question. What movie have you watched recently? What book are you currently reading? Find something that is not too personal, not too because we don't know each other well enough for me to ask how you met your spouse, maybe. But let's go in something a little bit more on the surface level, and just ask a question. That generates a lot of conversation of, oh gosh, I'm not a reader. Oh, really? Well, do you watch movies? It allows you to pivot, but it's a great tool for someone who maybe isn't as comfortable, even in that one-on-one situation of what are we going to talk about for 30 minutes, and allow that other person to give you some information. And I think that will be very helpful.
Yeah, that really is great. And I think, I think sometimes people think that 30 minutes seems so big, and it is not. It is so small. I've really had to taper my things because I'm doing so many more of the one-on-ones now. And I remember talking to Kathy about it because it seemed like all my one-on-ones were going like an hour each. Well, when you're doing, today I think I have 6 today. It's like that's 6 hours of time. Well, now thanks to her guidance, and I thought, okay, so I'm going to set these for 30 minutes, and then if they go over a little bit, and if it's, if I really connect with, there's been several that I really connected with. Some have gone longer, but some I've just said, okay, let's reschedule another time because I just love talking with you. But we really connect, and so giving yourself some flexibility, but also giving yourself some boundaries. And I think that really, really helps as well.
Yeah.
So cool. All right. So go ahead.
Giving yourself some grace if you're learning, like Jennifer's talking about, giving yourself some grace that, you're not the only one that is learning and that is new to this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the whole process is learning. We're learning so many different things. And again, one more time, when I first started what I call official networking. Okay. But I've always been a networker, never knew it. I just was, like Jennifer. And I'm not sure, Laura, have you always been that way too?
Yes.
Kind of that. Mm-hmm. So we've been doing it all our lives. It never had a name. But when I started my first ones, I was hearing about products I had never heard of in my life. I thought, whoa, Legal Shield was one that I had never heard of, and I was so impressed. So those of you like Michelle up there, I thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread, and it was so reasonable that it's like, okay, well, I got to have this. Who wouldn't want to have that, right? And so many other products and services I didn't know about. And now that I'm back doing more again, I never have stopped. But now that I'm doing more, I just, I'm the same thing. I mean, there's this cellular thing that helps your cells talk to each other better. And there's stuff that it's like, whoa, this is so cool. So I have to learn more. I'm getting introduced to a lot of new stuff.
Mm-hmm. And the one other tip I was just going to offer up for anybody when you're doing these things is following up. If you are there, especially to grow your business and grow your personal networks and your friendship groups and such, showing up, getting everybody's names and phone numbers, and then never calling them is not a good thing. Definitely reach out to somebody and say, hey, I do want to meet with you. And again, like we've said, we don't want the swoopers. And if you're a swooper and you're watching this, to expand on that, that's the people that I get, and I still get them. And it cracks me up because there's people I have not talked to in 3 years that I get a Facebook message from. Hey, girlfriend, how's it going? Here's my new product. Here's my new party. Here's my new whatever. And all I'm thinking is, okay, you didn't even care for 3 years to say, how's it going? How are you doing? Don't do that. And
you're calling me girlfriend.
Yes, please don't. And I will also say, if you're sending out messages like that, proofread them. Those are usually the true tail signs of those. But just don't do those. But do follow up. I mean, if you have an amazing connection with somebody, or you didn't get to and you want to, reach out and just say, I'd love to have that Zoom call with you, or meet in person if possible. So
yeah, because really, otherwise, why are you doing it? Because you're not going to build the friendships if you don't do the follow-up. Again, you're not going to build a good friendship. I mean, I would, if I hadn't, I'm going to just go to the next level of friendship. If I really had a problem, I know in my heart, I could call or reach out to any of you, and you would be there for me as my friend. If something happened in my family, or, if something was with one of my kids there in Kansas City, I could call you, Jennifer, or Laura, or Kathy, and y'all would step in for me. I mean, that's a beautiful thing. I mean, that's worth every networking ever done.
Yeah.
Just to know that you have those kinds of friendships. So if you really want to build your friendships, everybody, I want to encourage you to find some groups to get into so you can expand your not just your sphere of influence, but expand the friendships, the blessings, expand the blessings in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Because it really does. Okay, we are at the top of the hour as always. I'm surprised. Any last tip, any last comment, and then we will close us down for the week.
Networking is
anything you want to say.
If it doesn't feel like it's hard, if it feels like it's hard, you just got to, it's always that one step in front of the other. Just keep going. I mean, eventually, like anything, we're all learning, we're all growing. And part of that process is to just keep doing it over and over and over again.
Excellent. Lisa? Any last thought?
Oh.
There you are.
Nope.
I guess you're off again.
Oh, goodness.
Technology.
Okay, I know. Jennifer.
Well, mine is going to be more on your personal network that you already have established. And again, anyone who's watched these knows I do this. Reach out to 5 people this week. Call someone you haven't heard from. Reach out to some neighbors, especially those of us in the colder weather. We have some people that just don't get out this time of year because of snowfall, the colder temperatures, things like that. A phone call goes a long way. Please continue to spread that love and just check on people.
Excellent. I love that. And we have, I don't know who it is because it just says Facebook user, said the agreed follow-up is that we did, thank you. You have my back. I love that. Offer to serve the person before you ask them to do business with you. Excellent point. Yeah, that's excellent. So I think
And Delinda, can you repeat what we're doing on Thursday for those who joined in later?
Yes. Okay. Thursdays, 3:00 Pacific time, so 5:00 Midwest time. We are starting our first official networking gathering. So we're going to come together. Everybody's going to get to share their 1 or 2 minutes. Depends on how many people we have, how much time there is. But oh no, Jennifer, I better tell you 1.5. Jennifer does not have a hard time filling in her 2 minutes. So we're going to actually do networking. So you'll be sharing your business, service, or product, and we'll be getting to know each other at another level. And anyway, I am excited about it. What's really cool is that I was asked to do it. It's like, okay, like when are we gonna start having a meeting? When are we gonna do this? Well, okay, we did it. So we set a time. So starting this week, 3:00 Pacific, we're going to have official networking gathering. And y'all, I know this is for everybody. This is for all the personal page and the Fun Fearless. But, we're up a little over 800 members now. We're on our march to 1,000. And it's about touching lives, y'all. This has nothing to do. There's no money here. Nobody's getting rich here. That's not the point. It's about touching women's lives and being here for each other. So that's why we have Fun Fearless. So if you're out there and you haven't joined, come join us. And if you are, thank you for being a part and how you're making a difference to people every day. So I guess we're ready to sign off. Thanks for asking that question, Jennifer. And come join us in Fun Fearless. I mean, these ladies are all contributing so much of their skills and talents, and we love for you to come and be a part. And I appreciate you being here on Tuesday mornings, as we are now, as I said before, we're in our 5th year. Unbelievable to me that that's true. So like, woohoo! Wonder what it's going to feel like when we hit 10. All right. So bye, everybody. Remember that life is not a matter of chance. It is a matter of choice. So choose to go out there and do networking and build some friendships while you're at it. All right. Bye now. Take care. And go.